Hello everyone, welcome back to Big Man, Big Books. Today I'd like to talk about a quick article I've just found. It's quite old actually, I thought it was a bit newer. It's about 8 months old, so maybe this is old news. Supposedly the developers of Skyrim and Mass Effect will be making a Redwall inspired video game. Take my money. Take my money now. Whatever it is, I'll pay it. I will pay a lot of money. Whatever you need, let me know. I'll pay it. I'll pay it now. I'll sell you my firstborn, even my secondborn. So if I just quickly get us up what has been said. Posting on YouTube, developer Near Studios unveiled the first gameplay trailer for Hawthorn, a game that sees players step into the role of tiny woodland animals as they work to build a community in an abandoned trading post in the magical Windermere Valley. Sounds amazing. Sounds fantastic. Now, if you don't know what Redwall was, Redwall, I know it from the series that was on, that was predominantly based around sentient talking animals, but they had like a kingdom, and it was like a fantasy series about mice. And there was this snake, and it was really scary. I don't remember too much more than that. The sort of general vibe is obviously you've got kingdoms. It's like a fantasy story with mice and animals, badgers, I think, and snakes and all sorts, rats and stuff like that. Kind of real cozy kind of fantasy, which I think a lot of us are really yearning for. Particularly with books, I've been in a bit of a reading slump. Like, I've just not been finding anything that's really kind of engaged me. So I've kind of had to go back to what I know I enjoy, and that's stuff like David Gemmell, which is, to me, quite a very cozy fantasy sort of tropey sort of storyline. And it feels like the consensus is quite similar for a lot of people, that we kind of want to, go back to something that we sort of enjoyed in our youth, sort of nostalgic, something that's kind of cozy and fun, and yeah, always something I'm looking forward to sort of exploring more books and more media that kind of present that. Like, when you see like images made of like a little badger or rabbits, and they're all in like little human clothes, but they live inside like a tree, and the tree is really cozy, and there's a beautiful fireplace and little tree oven, and little rabbits playing on the floor and stuff. That's what I want that. Don't want a new build. I want to live in a little tree or something in the ground as like a little mole. Let's just see if there's any kind of release date for it. I don't think we've been given any kind of no date as of yet. It's interesting to me because I feel like a lot of developers seem to be pushing towards kind of creating video games, and not just in the video game space, in the book space. This is predominantly a book channel, so I need to obviously bring that in here. But I feel like a lot of developers and authors and TV people are not really exploring into what people are really wanting. We haven't really had a fantasy series come out since Game of Thrones, or at least of the popularity since Game of Thrones. We've had obviously Rings of Power, we've had an attempt at the Wheel of Time, but in general, nothing really has jumped out in terms of made waves. And I feel like we've kind of, what a lot of modern media is sort of forgetting, that we're kind of moving out of the kind of darker, grimdark fantasy space of our media. So like how when Game of Thrones was coming out, that was kind of the predominant sort of genre. You feel like you picked up a fantasy book, it was always kind of similar to Game of Thrones a little bit. Like the covers, there was a period of time you go into like Waterstones during like at the peak of Game of Thrones' popularity, and every kind of book had the same kind of book cover, and it was normally something that looked like Game of Thrones, and it was normally titled something that sounded like Game of Thrones, like A King of Thorns, or The Stone of Kings, or Feast of something. It's something that made it sound like Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones is great. It was great, not at the end, but it was great for what it was. But we've come to the end of that era now. People want cozy fantasy. They want to be able to enjoy media that's cozy and fun, kind of like Lord of the Rings can be, with the Shire and stuff. Proof of this is the book Legends and Lattes, which was immensely popular on its release. There's a market for it, people. Make more stuff in that genre, and this is a prime example of someone capitalising on that. So I look forward to being a little creature, a little frog or a little mouse or something, and doing cozy fantasy things in a little cozy fantasy world. If you are someone who is looking for that kind of type of genre, I am working on a big video essay based around David Gimmel's Draenei saga, which to me is something I find is quite cozy and old school fantasy. Again, very early developments. I've got big plans for it. It's gonna be a big production video. Thank you all for watching. I've been in a bit of a reading slump. To be perfectly honest, I read Lonesome Dove like 2 months ago, and it was such an incredible book that any book I've picked up since then, I've just not been able to sort of hold my interest with. It's ruined reading for me. It is literally such a good book. Larry McMurtry, yeah, what are you doing? Because you've ruined it. Now I'm going to have to just pick up the other books he's done, because I just can't stop thinking about Lonesome Dove. I literally finished it like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I've literally struggled to pick up anything nearly as good as that book. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please check out my other videos. They're doing fairly well, so I appreciate all the love and support they're getting. Take care. Goodbye. So it turns out there's apparently a Redwall game based on the Redwall books on PS5 already. Didn't know that. Maybe wouldn't have made this video.